now that I've seen 2 more episodes, which were really epic episodes, the conversation that Wells has with Cisco back to back in those episodes, he is literally saying the same thing, yes, but it means such a different thing, and it blew my mind. So how is it like for you playing those 2 separate scenes kind of back to back?
Well, first of all, we have amazing writers, clearly. Like, when I read that moment, I was like, this is genius. This is brilliant. I love how they're turning it around like this. It was very different. I kind of just had to, like, wipe the slate, you know what I mean? And that was tougher than you'd think, you know what I mean? Like, we finished filming 15. Like, it took us 2 weeks and some change because we were breaking it up with the holiday, with the Christmas holiday when we were shooting it. And so, like, 15 was in our bodies and in our system and in our minds for this whole time. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, today we're starting 16. And I had to just wipe the slate clean completely and say, okay, none of that happened. I have to start this episode as if we had just finished episode 14. So I had to go back and reread it 14 and see where we left off from there. So it was a bit challenging for the brain, but like once I got like into the headspace of what was going on in 14, like the whole Ronnie situation had just happened, I was able to just like move on from there. It still gets kind of confusing.
Did you go on Twitter or any other form of social media after 15 and watch fans freak out?
In real time.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was madness. It was like watching a car crash. It's like all of Twitter was just like, no, this can't be happening. But I'd be lying if I didn't get immense joy out of it. If I didn't say I didn't get immense joy out of it, because it made me very happy to see, because fans are having a visceral reaction to something that's happening in the show. That's what you dream of, right? So yeah, I love it.
And we finally got more backstory, which like I know for me as a viewer, like I've been waiting that for like the whole season, because it's like you've been funny the whole time, great, wanted more, and then it also had this really great connection to like the fact that he's I don't know if he's Latin or Hispanic, right, but you know, and how is that for you to like bring that cultural element and, you know, to offer this representation that like there's not a lot of like Latin or Hispanic superheroes, right, and then you're like building your way up to that, maybe.
Sure. Maybe. Hint.
Yeah.
I think Greg Berlanti has always said it best. You know, we try to cast a show and create a show that is more representative of the world that we live in. You know what I mean? And the world that we live in is one that's full of various races and various different types of people. You know, so it makes sense to me that our cast is as diverse as it is. On top of that, it makes me very happy that the writers are so fearless as far as like putting his culture out there and allowing Cisco's relationship with his family and his culture to kind of to be shown and be portrayed, and on top of that, Latino fans are responding really positively to that, and that it's a privilege, you know, to be able to do that. At the same time, you know, it's a shame that it has to be an achievement. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Of course.
But it is altogether, and I'm more than happy that it's happening the way that it is.
Were you aware, like, Cisco's big plan? You know, when you saw the script for 15, and you got to that page, were you like, wait a minute, am I coming back next week? Or
like, are you guys firing me right now? You can just sit me down and fire me. You don't need to tell me in a passive-aggressive script. No. Andrew told me like weeks before we started filming the episode, so you're gonna die in the next episode, and I was like, awesome. I was just so excited because, you know, who doesn't want to die on camera? That sounds awesome. So I was actually very excited to film it, and Andrew was very quick to assure me after he told me the news that I was gonna come back. You know, it's not something that sticks. And then he told me the kicker: Barry goes back in time, and that's how you end up living. And I'm like, this show just gets better and better. You know, we keep like doing these like finale type, you know, episodes, and I think it's what the fans really want. So yeah, it's cool.
And then the action that you had with Hartley was super exciting to watch. How much of that did you actually get to do yourself?
Like the fighting?
Yeah.
I did all of it. Like when we shot it, like Andy and I, we did most of it. I think there were just a couple of takes where they brought in the stunt guys. That's not to say that our stunt team isn't amazing, because they are thebomb.com. Like, they nail it. Our stunt team is unbelievable. But yeah, we did end up doing most of it. I mean, maybe like the parts where I like fall on my back like really hard, that wasn't me. But most of it we actually did do.
It looked great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We rehearsed the crap out of that.
My question is, same episode, but the scene where you go and tell Barry that you pretty much gave up his secret was extremely moving, and I want to know, do you think that's going to affect the relationship Cisco has with Barry moving forward? Or I know Barry is saying that it doesn't, but how do you see that, or how are you kind of going to be playing that?
I think Cisco has always been there for Barry, you know, as a supportive team member, and also, you know, just as a general BFF, you know what I mean? But Barry, I think, finds it natural to reciprocate that, you know? He sees his friend, you know, in trouble, in distress, and feeling like he's not a part of this team, or that he doesn't belong. And naturally, he's going to lend a hand and be there for him. And I think that strengthens their relationship, and also imbues Cisco with a sense of confidence. It allows him to understand that he does have a dynamic, and he does have a function in this group. And he can be more fearless about that. And that is huge for Cisco's trajectory as a character throughout the season.
How do you feel about someday possibly wearing a suit like Grant, having
I feel
film?
great about it.
I mean, is it comfortable for Grant? I mean, have you talked to him? Like, so what's it like? You know, if you have to go to the bathroom, or you know,
Yeah, it's
hot.
been tough for him, especially at the beginning. But what's great about our team is that, you know, we went from having a really uncomfortable, really like totally unfeasible suit to something that he can work in every day. Like, they made modifications throughout that time, and now like Grant has a suit that he loves wearing. You know, before it was like I can't do anything, I can't move, I can't listen to I can't hear you. You know what I mean? But like now it's so much more livable. So I look forward to, you know, I'm
hopeful
to hopefully, yeah, exactly. If that chance comes around, that'd be nice to have that experience. Because who doesn't want to wear a super suit?
I'm hovering, so that means we have time for one last question if anybody wants to ask. Or we can just grab them.
No, she's got one.
Oh, yeah. So in carrying on with you know, the matter of like representation and all of that, you know, how is that for you, just like as a person, like to be basically an ambassador like of culture?
I mean, I didn't know it was going to be like that, and I actually didn't think about it like that, you know, because I'm a product of a generation and a world that, you know, doesn't see that as an exception. You know what I mean? So when I started doing the show and I started playing this character, I didn't think of him as a Latino character. You know, I'm just trying to play this character, and it just so happens that I'm Latino. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until I started getting all this feedback from the Latin fan base that was like, we love how you're representing Latino characters. I'm like, oh shit. Like, I'm an ambassador and shit. You know? And it's a privilege.